Good for business or business for good. At your local food co-op, we do business a different way. We focus on what our neighbors want, not on profits for corporate investors. We know our farmers by name and work closely with them to bring you the best local food. We know the difference between buzzwords and making a difference for people and planet. We know that good food is just the beginning of what we can achieve together. Your local food co-op, doing business for good. Find your food co-op at grocery.coop.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for our 48th annual co-op meeting. My name is Valerie Taylor, and I've served as the marketing director since 2015, and tonight I'm serving as your MC. I'll start off with a couple housekeeping things. Tonight's show is going to be a blend of video and live presentations. Everything covered tonight is from our annual impact report, which was emailed to you alongside tonight's meeting link. It can also be found on our website at the address listed there. I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce you to our co-op's leadership team. These are our directors and managers. Many of us have been around for some time, but we do have some new faces here in the last couple months that I'd like to point out. On our top row, third over is Dory Rowan. Dory has been active with our co-op over the last few years and served for 2 years as a member of the board. In August, Dory stepped off the board to serve as our interim human resources director, and we are so pleased to have her. She spends her time at both the Lawrence and KCK stores. In June, Andrew Roberts, down there on the bottom left, stepped in as our KCK store manager. Andrew has more than a decade in grocery experience and leadership, and in fact began his career as a grocer in 2001 in our Lawrence store. So we're glad to have him back. Most recently, like in the last week or so, we welcomed Chef Kelly Risley, there in the bottom center, as our new kitchen manager. Kelly has over 20 years of grocery and kitchen experience, and he has a bit of a following here in Lawrence from his time at Hy-Vee. So we're pleased to have freed him from that competitor to join us here. Now I'd like to turn it over to our board president, Judy Dutton, for the board report.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Judy Dutton. I'm your board president, and I've been a board member for 5 years. I want to welcome you all on behalf of the board. I'm glad so many of you could join us tonight. I'd like to introduce your other board members. Our vice president is Sophia Galarza-Liu. Our treasurer is Dion Whitten. Other members are Mark Sprague, Anthony Lang, Leanne Richardson, Rachel Jefferson, and Abby Reinhardt. Currently, we are an 8-member board. Since, as Valerie said, Dory Rowan stepped down to join the co-op's management team. This election will return us to a 9-person board. The board works closely with the general manager, who provides this elected group of owners with regular reports on store operations. The board is not engaged in day-to-day operations, but uses a model of oversight called policy governance to hold the general manager accountable to the expectations set forth in the policies the board creates. In policy governance, the board has 3 primary jobs. The first is ownership linkage, and that means connecting with owners to learn about your needs and your values. The second is policy development, which is writing those values as guidance for the organization and for the board itself. And third is the assurance of organizational performance. That means monitoring to ensure the organization demonstrates reasonable progress toward desired ends and reasonable compliance with our policies. On the agenda tonight, we'll first have Mark Sprague, the Elections Committee Chair, who will report out the election results. Following that, Jason Lovell, the Finance Director, will present the financial report. And next, the impact report will be presented by Rita York-Henneke, our general manager, and Seth Long,
I would call them.
the co-op's operations director. We will then hear about outreach and donations from Laura Marsh, our outreach manager. Following Rita's report, we will have a Q&A. And again, you're welcome to add your questions in the chat box for answers at the end of the meeting. And we will wrap up the evening with prizes. We also have 3 videos to share throughout the meeting created by Thomas Hicks with Story Factory Media. And before I turn the meeting over to Mark, I'd like to thank our wonderful management team who not only provides great leadership for the co-op, but also provides a great deal of support for the board. And now I'll turn the meeting over to Mark, who will report out the election results. And as you know, participating in board elections is your ownership in actions. So thank you to all who voted in this past election. And now here's Mark.
Hello, I'm Mark Sprague, and I've been on the board since 2010. This year, we had 5 candidates running for 3 seats, 2 incumbents and 3 new candidates. Just over 7% of our over 9,000 active owners participated in voting. 639 voted online and 29 in stores on paper ballots. This is in line with past years, which have seen 6 to 7% of our owners voting. The results have been tallied, and we'd like to congratulate Sophia, Dion, and our newest member, Melissa Williams. I wanted to thank Isaac and Patrick for running and hope they will consider running again. It was great the Merc had so many well-qualified persons to choose from. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Now we're going to have a little video update of what's going on in Lawrence.
This is a great time for us to do a renovation here at the co-op. The perimeter departments, frozen, refrigerated, produce, they're all seeing really incredible sales growth. So the opportunity to be able to increase their footprint here in the store makes a lot of sense. That's the only way that we're going to continue to really serve our members and attract new customers.
Over the years, since we moved to this location in 2001, we've done several renovations. And this renovation is allowing us to improve some of the infrastructure and touch some of the areas that we hadn't touched before.
So one of the most exciting changes for everybody is that we are going to have an additional full-service register on the front end that'll allow us to just better serve customers, especially during peak shopping hours.
We are replacing our refrigeration rack, and that's the system that controls all of the refrigeration display cases and walk-ins throughout the store. The current system has served us since 2007. But we have outgrown its capacity, and the type of refrigerant that it uses has negative impacts on the environment. And that type of refrigerant is being phased out by the government. The new system is going to allow us to increase our offerings of fresh foods, particularly frozen and refrigerated.
What we're finding is that the pandemic has really driven sales in those areas. People want convenient options. I'm really excited to be able to offer products that are more in line with our sort of ethos of good, better, best. The idea that we can offer cost-effective products as much as we continue to offer the specialty items that we've been known for years. I want to make that clear. We are not going to get rid of our specialty items. We want to carry those items. We want to maintain that destination location as a place for good, local, organic food, but we also want to be able to serve our customers with cost-effective options. We'd really like to become a destination for every shopper, every budget, every need.
I'm proud to be part of this co-op, which has a reputation of having quality programming with highly skilled instructors and well-respected staff and individuals that are running the show. And we don't want to change that. So prior to this remodel, we had 2 fairly large areas in our store intended for gathering, whether it's for classes or dining. And between the pandemic and even during regular times, oftentimes those sat fairly empty or unoccupied for a portion of the day. And so we want to recognize that and see how we can work together to create a shared space where we can make the most of this small store. A lot of shoppers maybe never knew we even had a classroom because it was unoccupied. And so we're really hoping that this bright cafe space with the big windows and its high visibility will help to even further promote the programs and to say, hey, what's going on in there? I've been in there. I want to go back and participate. We want to offer programming that may not have appealed to our usual class participant. Maybe it's folks that couldn't commit to the late evening classes, or maybe it's folks that want something a little more casual. And so we're looking to have and use this space as a place where folks can peek in through the window, have a little bit of curiosity and say, what's going on? Maybe there's a demo in there where they can come in, try something tasty, and leave with a recipe. That's what we want, is something that appeals to the folks that have always appreciated our classes, but now also appeal to folks that maybe didn't know we ever had classes. In addition to diversifying our programming, we're really interested in making sure that we continue to offer affordable, low-cost or no-cost options. We truly believe that that's part of our co-op's mission and our ends of building community based on hospitality and generosity.
We are so fortunate and excited to be able to reinvest in this store, to be able to better serve our shoppers for years to come.
Good evening. My name is Jason Lovell. I'm the finance director for the Merc Co+op. I've been with the Merc since the summer of 2014. And tonight I'll be showing you a little bit about our financial status for the fiscal year. Last year, we had our highest sales volume ever as a co-op in our 48-year history, breaking $6 million in sales in both our Lawrence and Kansas City locations. This is due to the sales on the perimeter that Patrick referred to in the video before, the return of our daily hot bar, and nearly doubling our sales in our Kansas City, Kansas location from the year before. We've all had to learn how to live with inflation and rising prices, and so have us at the Merc as we operate the store. The cost of the goods that we have sold during the year rose compared to sales by 0.5%. Which means our bottom line is down about 0.5%. Last year, we spent some of our cash reserves on our front end refresh, but the biggest news is that we made our last payment on the purchase of the building and land at 901 Iowa. Equity is the most important part of our co-op. It's the difference between what the co-op has and what we owe. Over the last 10 years, we've more than doubled that equity balance. We've also have spent $3.5 million to purchase and improve our location in Lawrence. I now turn it over to Dion Witten. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dion Witten. I've been with the Merc for 3 years, and I've served as the treasurer for the last 1.5 years. I will be discussing patronage tonight. One of the financial benefits of the co-op is our patronage rebates. You accrue patronage points every time you shop at the co-op and enter your owner number. In a profitable year, when the co-op makes money, the board will vote to whether or not to retain a portion of the profits and whether or not to distribute a portion of the profit back to owners in the form of rebates. What an owner receives is based on what they spend that year. The more you spend, the more patronage you may receive. Paying patronage back to owners is good for the co-op because the income earned on the sales to owners is legally non-taxable for the co-op. As a result, we are able to keep more of what we have earned under community control. It is truly our collective wealth that can serve and strengthen the vitality of our co-op and serve our values and ends. In order to earn the minimum rebate of $12.50, you must have spent at least in fiscal year 2022. The board is excited to announce we'll contribute $27,690 to 2,580 owners. This patronage will appear as store credit on your owner account after the first of the year.
All right, thank you, Dion. Now we're going to move on to a video update about Kansas City.
First thing I have to say about our staff here is how welcoming they've been, both to me as a newcomer, but also how welcoming they are to our customers and to the community. Our staff is incredibly committed to supporting each other and also to supporting our customers. And I'm here to support our staff and make sure that we can all work together to do well and make the store thrive.
Our staff is really the first point of contact for the community. Most of the people who work here are from this community, and they are making connections with new organizations all the time, and it's exciting to see the folks who have worked here since the beginning acting as ambassadors for the co-op and connecting the people who live here with the resources we can provide.
Every day, a customer comes in and they say, I really wish you had this or that, or can you get this brand? And so responding to those requests, bringing those products in, is really exciting. And I think customers respond to that. And I think it's a great way to show the community that we are here for them.
Every time I come to the Kansas City, Kansas store, I feel a strong sense of community. I'm reminded of what it must have been like for the Merc originally, about 50 years ago now, of having a small group that's just building and telling people about that co-op model. Every time we see shoppers learn about the co-op model and sign up, that is very inspiring to me because there really aren't co-ops in the Kansas City area. And so to be able to give that opportunity to own the business, own part of the co-op is very impactful, I think, and meaningful to this community.
One of the things that I really loved when I worked at the store in Lawrence 15 years ago was getting to know the regulars, but then also getting to know the new faces. So that's been really fun for me to recreate here in Kansas City. I've quickly gotten to know our regular customers. They're amazing people. They're mostly neighbors, but I'm also thrilled every time somebody new comes in that I've never seen before. So it's been really fun to kind of connect my experience from Lawrence to my experience that I'm having here.
The Kansas City store opened about 2 years ago, and we did so much work to figure out, what the store needed to look like and how we were going to meet the needs of this community. And I think the Kansas City store is doing well. We have seen sales trending up since we opened, and we're so encouraged to see that fresh meat and fresh produce sales have doubled since we first opened. And our customer counts, those number of transactions happening on average every week, have nearly doubled as well.
I think the store has huge growth potential in our fresh departments, so produce, meat, dairy, all of those places where people can come and take these fresh ingredients and really cook with them and experience fresh quality food.
Our classroom space is available for community groups to use, and that word is kind of getting out. We've had neighborhood association meetings, the Kiwanis Club meets here pretty regularly. It's a space for people to gather, which is what we're hoping as a co-op to do. That's part of our ends, is to build community. We also have a commercial kitchen space here that local producers can rent. It's exciting to be able to support our local food economy in a different way than we've been able to do before. The pandemic changed a lot of things. We couldn't do as many things in person. We couldn't gather in quite the same way. And so it's really been an opportunity to evaluate all the things that we do and demonstrate our commitment to this community as well, and build those relationships and amplify the work that's already happening here with organizations who have served this neighborhood a long time. I would love to see even more nutrition education, even more classes, inviting even more people into the store.
Candidates would consider working at the co-op because of the values and the culture that it represents. We have a wonderful benefits package, which includes health insurance, employee discounts, special perks. We also provide a livable wage, and that's something that we look at on an annual basis, and just what the Merc represents to the community. And that's what brought me to the Merc. I thought, gosh, what a wonderful opportunity to be a part of the community, to be an owner, and to provide good, solid, healthy food for people. My vision is to let the community know what a wonderful brand the Merc represents.
There are a lot of challenges. I can't say this has been easy. Number one is just those sales. Getting that foot traffic and having more neighbors in the community is really what we need to see in order to get that profitability level, the volume level up to be able to break even, much less make a profit. 5 years ago, when the unified government asked us to operate that store in downtown Kansas City, Kansas, we were to serve as a catalyst for more development to come into the area and help revitalize downtown KCK. But then COVID hit, and a lot of that development stalled. Since then, a lot of those projects have not come to fruition. Most disappointing is the Reardon Center across the street was going to be residential. That is not happening. And we still need a lot more residents and foot traffic in the area to be successful. We're very encouraged to see that commissioners and the county administrator are very supportive of the efforts that we're making and want to see us continue to serve the community. Given that we're in the last year of our operating agreement, we are in talks with them about extending that agreement 2 more years, because we believe that at the end of that 5th year, we could be self-sustaining without the stabilization funding that we've been relying on in order to continue to pay our staff and pay for the cost of goods. Strong, stable leadership is the key in solving all of these issues. We are so fortunate to have Dory Rowan as our HR director, serving out of the store, along with Andrew Roberts, our store manager, and Laura Marsh, our outreach manager, who's recently relocated to this store. And having that stable leadership, being able to guide and develop a strong team of staff and retain those employees so that we can serve the community is really going to help solve all those issues.
All right. That gives you a lot of context about what I'm going to talk about. If those who haven't met yet, my name's Rita. I'm the general manager. I use she, her pronouns, and I've served as the general manager for the last 13 years. I'm really excited to share highlights from our annual impact report tonight. But first, let me give you a quick update on what I was talking about there in the video about the Kansas City, Kansas store and the negotiations. We're now in the 3rd year, like I said, and last week, our proposal to extend the management agreement for another 2 years was approved by the Economic Development Committee. There's a lot of commissioners that sit on that committee, and so that means it goes on to the full commission this Thursday, so in 2 days. We'll be at that meeting, crossing our fingers that it gets the final seal of approval, and then we get to continue on for 2 more years, which would give us a total of 5 years to try to get the store self-sustaining. And, you know, I think we're really excited to see what happens with the downtown development and continue to work on what we're doing to better serve the community. So as far as the ends go, I think a lot of you are familiar that the board writes ends policies to describe the purpose and the goals of the co-op. These current ends were written in 2015, and it's my job as the general manager to interpret them and work on progress toward them, knowing that there's not something that we can just check off of a list or be done with. And I'm going to report on some highlights tonight from my monitoring report, and I'll be joined at the end. I'm going to split this up with my director of operations, Seth. She'll meet in a few minutes. So our first slide here is a graph of the total owners for every year. It just shows how many owners we have at the co-op. And I am very encouraged by the strong, steady growth. I mean, we've doubled since 2008, which is great to see. And I think it illustrates the dedication that we have to be a welcoming, inclusive, cooperative business. And then, you know, it represents the value that we provide to our regional community. Otherwise, people wouldn't sign up, or you'd redeem your share. We're happy that you're here, and we're really encouraged by this growth, and we look forward to surpassing that 10,000 mark next year, hopefully. Next, we're going to look at food access. And so how we're creating more access to healthy, local, and organic foods, like it says in our ends. So one of the ways that we do that is by accepting EBT or food stamps. Over the last several years, I said really 7 years, we've made concerted effort to become more accessible to the whole community, regardless of people's income or budgets. So this graph shows what percentage of total store sales are purchased with EBT and WIC. Well, you know, we've accepted EBT or food stamps at the Lawrence store for decades. It's really only in the last few decades we've been able to accept WIC at both locations. And the fact that 25% of our Kansas City, Kansas store sales are purchased with EBT tells us that we're really seen as a viable, affordable, and accessible grocery store to our Kansas City community. Yet in Lawrence, we have an opportunity to better serve low-income households. Don't worry, healthy, local, and organic products will remain a priority. We know that we have opportunities to be seen as a destination for affordable groceries. And I'm confident that fully embracing these nutrition assistance programs allows us to be more welcoming and to get more folks to be able to shop at the co-op. Similarly, the Merc Share program aims to create access. So we believe that everyone should be able to become an owner regardless of their income. So folks who are on Kansas and Missouri food assistance can become an owner for just $10, and the co-op subsidizes the remaining $65 equity investment. These owners are entitled to the same voting rights and benefits as all other owners. In addition, Merc Share owners receive a 10% discount at the register for all fresh food purchases like produce, meat, dairy, eggs, and bread. And in just this last fiscal year, we provided over $10,000 in discounts to Merc Share owners. And since we began the program of discounts for folks on food assistance 10 years ago, we have provided over $123,000. So that's it for me. I'm going to introduce Seth Nauman here, our operations director, who's going to share more highlights from our impact report. Thank you all.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Seth Nauman. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the Director of Operations going on my 4th year here at the co-op. What I love about buying local is that you aren't just buying groceries, you're supporting the community. Your sales dollars aren't just supplementing some CEO's bonus, you're creating revenue that strengthens our local economy. You're creating a relationship with your neighbor. The dynamic that we have with local producers has allowed us to remain competitively priced on key items that are currently experiencing nationwide shortages and price increases. Many national and conventional brands have felt the burn of inflation and are passing those cost increases on to grocers. Luckily, we've been able to offer local alternatives that in many cases are superior in quality at even better prices than those with national recognition. Even in the instance that we can't beat the best market price, we can typically offer a local variation of that product at a comparable price. And those strategies have allowed us, or have allowed our guests to support local with virtually no additional impact to their grocery budget. Now, it is as important as ever to support local producers. The pandemic led to an obvious increase in online shopping and created less opportunity for these producers to showcase their products. We saw a shocking amount of vendor partners limit their production or cease production altogether. Many that did survive the pandemic were then impacted by staffing shortages. We're working hard to reverse these trends and provide increased opportunity for these businesses to thrive. Some of the additional ways that we support local are less quantifiable than vendor counts and sales dollars, like hosting the farmers market in our KCK parking lot and our partnerships with Rolling Prairie Farmers Alliance and New Routes for Refugees. It's through these partnerships that local becomes less about sales and more about community. As we enter the next phase of our remodel at our Lawrence location, we're excited to be able to expand our aisles, shelf allocations, and display spaces. This allows us to increase accessibility and supplement our product mix with an additional local variety. Even the renovation itself relied on the work of local contractors and material suppliers. Just as our local producers have experienced staffing shortages, so too have we. The labor market is more volatile than ever before, and it's imperative that we stay ahead of current trends. Last year, we raised our starting wage to $14.25, in addition to potential for increased compensation based on applicable work experience. Our 401k plan has recently been revamped at a lower cost to participants and includes a 3% match from the co-op. And just last week, we increased our employee discount to 20% for everyone. Our success is contingent on employee engagement and the satisfaction of our staff. We take pride in the work that we do, and we value the folks that make it possible. As we look ahead to the second phase of our remodel, we're excited to be able to better utilize the energy harvested by our solar panels by overhauling our current refrigeration rack with a state-of-the-art model. Not only will it operate exponentially more efficiently than our current system, it will have automated leak detection that will allow us to quickly identify when and where a refrigerant leak is at and get it fixed fast. It's exciting to be able to expand our refrigerated and frozen offerings while reducing our carbon footprint. We're so excited for the future and look forward to being able to grow, build, and reinvest in the co-op locations that we all already know and love. Thank you to all our owners, staff, and vendors that have all allowed us to thrive. Laura Marsh will now share some exciting developments in education and outreach. Thanks, everybody.
Hello. Yes, I'm Laura. I'm the outreach manager at the co-op. So I'm just going to share some updates about co-op classes and outreach programs, and then cover change, donations, and some of the new programs we have here at the store. So we'll start with some classes and outreach. So as folks are starting to gather again, we've been excited to be able to join in on a variety of community events in Lawrence and in Kansas City. Pictured here on the left are Lillian and Kim from our Lawrence store at Sunset Hills Walk to School Day. Through our employee community outreach program, staff can volunteer with local organizations or with community events that we run up to 8 hours a year and get paid for their time. So this is the 4th year we've come to Sunset Hill with granola bars and fruit for students and for their parents or guardians who walk to school with them that day. We've also joined in on some new events this year, like the Eat Local Expo last spring, hosting a scavenger hunt with the Lawrence Farmers Market this summer. And just last week, we hosted our first store tour with Lawrence High students in the newly finished classroom space you can see on the right. So with renovations officially complete as of Friday, we are excited to be able to get back into using the classroom and that combined cafe space for cooking demonstrations, more local sampling, and drop-in events, and all sorts of fun things coming up here. So similarly, in our Kansas City store, we've been able to host a wide variety of presenters and local organizations that have been providing their own nutrition and cooking classes, both for the community and for folks that they serve in their programs. So pictured here, we've got New Roots for Refugees teaching a combined English language learning and cooking class for their program participants. So this is a holistic program that teaches refugee farmers how to run their own businesses here in the US. It's 4 years long, and so they cover everything that they would need to know to be sufficient themselves. In the upper right is Corinne, one of our KCK staff members, who teaches a free yoga class on Mondays in the classroom. On the far left is Shantae. She's a local producer and owner of Cookie When, Cookie Now, using our commercial kitchen space to produce cookies for her business. You can actually find her now at the Oak Park Mall, running her own booth, which she just started a couple weeks back. And last pictured here is El Centro. They have an office just a few blocks from our KCK store, and they have been a really consistent and impactful partner in KCK. The co-op has partnered with them to host over a dozen COVID-19 vaccine clinics, both outside the store and inside our community room. And they host classes 3 times per week in a kind of a cooking workshop. So that includes reading nutrition labels, budgeting, and cooking a healthy meal together all in a week. So in this next video, we've got a couple of members from El Centro's staff describing their organization and the work they do.
Our mission is to strengthen communities and improve the lives of Latinos and others through educational, social, and economic opportunities. We started off doing a lot of work with the elderly community and also with children. We did a lot of work with the migrant farm workers, and we started our senior program, which was actually one of our first programs that we had. We had a lot of Latinos that had come into the area through the railroads, and they just weren't getting the services that they needed. Some leaders, Latino leaders in the community, got together, and with the support of the Archdiocese, they were able to get a $10,000 initial seed money to start El Centro and provide those kind of services. We just finished celebrating our 45th anniversary. So we have been here in the community in Kansas City, Kansas for 45 years, but we have 3 locations. We have Academy for Children, which is our dual language preschool, which is in the Argentine neighborhood here in Kansas City, Kansas as well. And then we have a new building that we opened up last year in Olathe at 201 South Lola. Currently, right now, all of the work that El Centro does revolves around 4 strategy areas, or what we like to call our 4 pillars. Early education through our dual language Academy for Children. We do community health programming, so that's our promotoras de salud, our health navigators, and also we house the Eastern Region's Farm Worker Health Program here in our building. And then we have our Economic Empowerment Department, which we do everything from emergency assistance to financial literacy, home buyer education, credit building education. And then we also have our Go Green to Get Green training program, where we help individuals get 7 certifications so that they can move into the green job field, which we're really part of. That's through a grant with the EPA. And our final department is our Advocacy and Engagement. Advocacy and engagement really is the thread that runs through the work that we do at El Centro, and we do everything from voter engagement, voter information. We do a lot of Know Your Rights. We tailor Know Your Rights for different topics, so we'll do Know Your Rights tenants' rights, Know Your Rights labor rights, and then we're just now starting to get into Know Your Rights medical rights, because we know that kind of those barriers that our community is facing a lot of times has to do with language and culture, and so we're trying to be that beacon or that kind of place where individuals can come to a safe place and get information and access educational material that they need so that they can be better engaged in the communities where they live. I think for the future, I think El Centro, we're really primed at this point to move forward in the area of community engagement, in the sense of that we really want our Latino populations that live and work in these communities to feel fully integrated 100%. And that's making sure that they have access to all of the information, to all of the resources like everybody else. But we also want to start closing the income gap. That's really important for us. And in order to get that, we know that we need to provide services like opportunities for them to learn new trades, to be informed on how to get a new home. Because asset building, we know, is the key to a stable financial future. And so we're really working in that area, also making sure that our residents know that they can and have the opportunity to become naturalized citizens, become voters, become educated voters, and engage members of their communities. We love our relationship with the Merc. It actually started way before we started using your space. Myself, our Chief Operating Officer, CEO, President Irene Caudillo, traveled to Lawrence to visit the Merc at the Lawrence location when they were thinking of building the site, just to see if we thought it would fit into our community, to be honest. And we came away feeling like it was a great service that they could provide here, much needed service here in the community. So we were really excited when the Merc came in, and we knew that we were going to be partnering right away. So the work that we've done with you with the Comprando Rico y Sano, the healthy eating classes, but also with our community vaccine clinics, has been really amazing work that we've done over the last year.
We do all kinds of educational classes, but mainly we do the healthy eating class. We do exercise with healthy eating. We do a workshop with clients to teach them how to have healthy eating habits. We do a cooking demo, and we also teach clients how to read nutritional labels on their product. We also do an exercise with clients on how to make a menu and buy with a budget. It is a pleasure seeing people changing their habits, coming back to us and telling me, after I attend your class, I learned how to bring healthier food to my table, and my kids and my family enjoyed it. So that's a joy for me too. We really appreciate our relationship that we have with the Merc. It's an amazing source for us because we can work here, and we also have the store, so our clients can get their gift card and put in practice what they learned here in our class and go out and then buy their food and their ingredients. They're fresh, they're at good price, so it is very good for us to see that we can work with you guys, what we learn, and put it in practice. We want to grow. We want to invite and have more clients every week. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. So we want all of our community to learn, to come and learn these healthy eating classes. Eating healthy is something that truly can change your life, for you and for your family.
So as they mentioned, El Centro was one of our change for our community partners in 2022. Most of you are probably familiar with the Change program. This program provides our shoppers the opportunity to support local organizations like El Centro with your spare change. So collectively, through all of your generous contributions, we raised over $81,000 in fiscal year 2022. And our co-op community as a whole has raised over $600,000 for 50 local organizations since the program started in 2014. So thank you all so much for rounding up. In addition to Change, we also have an in-kind donations program at the co-op. So we give in-kind donations and gift cards to a whole wide variety of local nonprofits. We're a small store, of course, so we aren't capable of using our dollars to sponsor large events or stadiums or things like that, but instead we try and give to the people and organizations that provide direct support and resources to our neighbors. So in 2022, we gave over $22,000 to about 109 local donation recipients in Lawrence and in Kansas City. And beyond financial or in-kind support, our stores donate 100% of our unsellable foods to local food banks and kitchens like Just Food and Link in Lawrence and Crosslines Community Outreach in KCK. So foods that aren't good enough quality to send to people are available for local farmers to pick up for their animals, or they are composted with our local partner, Missouri Organics. We're also excited for some new programs for co-op shoppers and owners. So we have partnered with Food Cycle KC to serve as a bucket swap site for their residential composting program. So shoppers, you can sign up for service through Food Cycle, get your bucket, fill it with food scraps and compostable items, and then bring it back to the store when they're tabling to trade it out for a clean, empty bucket. So they're at our KCK store on Thursdays from 4 till 7 p.m. And then starting this Saturday, November 19th, they'll be at our Lawrence location from 9 a.m. until noon. So we're excited to be able to partner with them, offer this service to shoppers, and really provide another avenue for sustainability for the community. You also may be familiar with our Merc Perks program, where local businesses can offer exclusive discounts to co-op owners. We've added several new ones this year. We also launched Merc Works this last spring. So co-op owners who volunteer with partner organizations with the co-op can receive a monthly coupon the month after they volunteer. So we're really excited to be able to foster connections between co-op owners and all of these organizations that serve our neighborhood and support them in a new way, while simultaneously rewarding customers for their volunteerism. If you're curious about any more of these programs, we've got information on the website, but feel free to reach out to us via email with questions that you might have. And speaking of questions, I believe we have now reached the Q&A, so I'll turn it back over to Valerie.
Thanks, Laura. So I just typed into the chat box, and hopefully you all saw a little message pop up. If you have any questions, that would be a great place to enter it. If you are unable to use the chat box, you can certainly raise your hand and we'll get you unmuted. It looks like Deanna Newman has the question of remind her about how the bucket program works. Is that the compost program that Laura was just mentioning? Yes, okay.
Okay.
Laura, if you don't mind saying that again, how that works.
Sure. Yeah, so Food Cycle has been, they have a variety of different options you can use, but because in Lawrence there really isn't a residential option for people to do composting, they're going to set up a table at the store. It'll be up front by the windows from 9 a.m. until noon, and you can go in when they're there and sign up. I believe it is a $10 fee for your first bucket. You can get a 3-gallon bucket or a 5-gallon bucket, depending, they're both the same price. Depends on how much you think you'll produce. That will include everything from fruits and vegetable scraps to like bones or cheese, or like compostable forks and bags and things like that. They'll take all of it. So you'll bring in your bucket when it's full on those Saturdays or Thursdays in the Kansas City location, swap it out for a nice clean bucket. They will take away those full buckets. And I think it's $6 for the swap. So it's $10 the first time, $6 for the swap. And you can do it every week or every other, depending on how long it takes you to fill up your bucket. But they run that all. They have several swap locations in the KC Metro. And then they do, in the summertime, they have it at the Lawrence Farmers Market as well, but we'll be the location that they start at on every Saturday.
Great. We also have a question from Kelly Barth asking, remind me when classes will begin in the Lawrence classroom. So Kelly, we may have heard in the video that, or from Laura, that we just wrapped up permits and whatnot with the renovation being complete in the Lawrence store. So right now we are working to get things going. So just as soon as possible. And we haven't yet gotten all of our appliances moved into the room. So very soon. I do have someone with a hand raised. If you don't mind introducing yourself and unmuting your label's iPhone.
Oh dear. Oh, now I just was typing in that chat. Oh God, I can't do it now. Okay.
We can hear you if you want to go ahead and ask the question.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I was trying to find the place to do that. Sorry to start out with a negative thing, but I'm asking that you please stop selling Coca-Cola now. It is not real. It's not good. It's not food, and it's not local. We had a problem with this when we first moved to 901 Iowa. It was kind of sprung on people. It created a lot of distress. I'm hoping that this is something we can. I'm hoping that this is something that we could take care of.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, we definitely recognize that good food means different things to different folks, and so we note that, and we will definitely have conversations about that. Thank you so much for sharing that and the history as well.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions, folks?
Can you guys hear me?
I think I hear someone slightly.
Valerie, can you hear me?
I can hear you a little. Who am I speaking with?
Hi there. Valerie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi, thank you. This is Monica Pitzner. I've been a lucky customer for over 10 years now, and I have 2 questions. And I joined a little bit later, so if they were covered, I'm sorry, but I think they're worth making nevertheless. So first of all, I want to commend the team at Merc, the management team, as well as the store personnel. You guys are wonderful, and I want to put particular emphasis on the store personnel. They literally make me happy every time I step in. Their courtesy, their service, their customer service, their helpfulness is really above and beyond. So well done to everybody. So this is where my first question comes. We live in a very tight labor market. What is Merc doing to retain employees? Can you share some of the, I guess, key measures in a nutshell, besides the $14 entry-level salary that Merc is doing to retain employee in such a tough labor market?
Seth or Rita, would you like to take that question? Maybe talk about employee benefits?
Yeah, I'd love to. So a couple of the really exciting things that we've been doing as of late with Dory's help as our HR director, we are transitioning to a new 401k vendor that comes at a lower cost to our staff. And we include a 3% match with that 401k. So the co-op matches up to 3% of what employees invest in their 401k. In addition to that, we just increased our employee discount just last week to 20% off of all products, excluding anything with alcohol. And we also offer eco hours. So we pay folks to volunteer with organizations of their choice. In addition to that, we have been doing some more recruiting of experienced help. So that's something a little bit new to us, that we've been offering essentially what are experience credits. So the potential to earn more money if you have applicable experience. So whether that be retail or warehouse. So we're trying to compete a little bit more competitively in wage, even above and beyond our 1425 as we seek out experienced folks. I know I'm missing some things. There's a lot that we offer. Does that help answer your question?
No, absolutely, Seth, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay.
There was somebody else wanted to add something?
Oh, this is Rita.
Hey, Rita.
Going to add that there's, I think, some things that we might think of as little things, but for a lot of staff, I mean, breaks are not legally required in the state of Kansas. Our policy is that we give 2 15-minute paid breaks and a 30-minute unpaid break for every 8-hour shift. We try to schedule people to have 2 days off in a row. It doesn't always happen, in retail with call outs and things, but we try to, that flexibility is really important and valued by employees. We have time off accruals so that people can submit time off. And I think overall for me, I mean, employee retention has been my number one priority because I know, how hard it is and how lucky we are to have the staff that we do. So anything we can do to retain them in terms of showing our appreciation, making sure that we communicate regularly with our staff is really top of mind. So we're always open to suggestions there.
Thank you, Rita. I mean, this sounds fantastic. And thank you, both of you. And my last quick question, I don't want to take too much time. We are all aware about the inflationary environment that we live in. Can you tell me 2 or 3 things that Merc is doing to keep at least basic foods in an affordable pricing range? I mean, I've seen, obviously, you guys had to take SPI's price increases. It makes sense. But winter is around the corner. Affordability is important. So how are you guys managing that? It's a difficult conundrum to manage.
I'd love to speak to that. So our strategy has always been healthy food, natural food, trying to teach people how to use healthier ingredients. As of late, and especially as we've spent more time in the KCK community, accessibility of food has become part of our new mission. And so with that comes the perception that, as in some of the videos we discussed, that maybe we've been higher priced, or maybe the perception is that we're more expensive than a conventional grocer. Coming from the conventional and grocery environment, I was able to work with some foods, just cheap bulk value ingredients, staples in a cabinet that are maybe not the prettiest branded, but offer a value and a comparable product. So our new strategy, as we're looking at this remodel and expanding our aisles and expanding the space that we can display, is to offer some more value product and not at the expense of eliminating our healthy options or our specialty options. But that's the premise behind what we're doing to expand sales floor space in particular, is to be able to offer the good version of our good, better, best model. We've done better and best really well. We've done local really well. We've done organic really well. The value option or the good option is where we've fallen short in some arenas. And so what we're trying to do is offer as many options to as many customers as we can. And we're going to do that through expanding our value options. So that is one of the ways that we are able to combat some of the inflationary strain that we're experiencing right now, is to offer some more reasonably priced products for folks that are seeking those out. In addition to, part of my portion of this was to talk about local, and I really am passionate about that local piece. I didn't name necessarily the products, but eggs is a great example of one of those things where a conventional carton of eggs at just a month ago was upwards of $8, whereas some of our local producers can still offer a dozen eggs at better quality and with the ability to support local for what eggs were retailing at 6 months ago. And that's really exciting to have those relationships and to be able to utilize some of those local producers to help us with our pricing strategy as we work through this inflationary period. Does that help?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Seth. Very helpful.
Great. Okay, thank you, Seth, and thank you, Monica, for those questions. I've got a question from Stephen. He notices that the fresh deals flyers are more focused on tasting good than healthy entrees. I'll take responsibility for that. I make those flyers. So duly noted. I will try to get some less cakes and more delicious salads, and maybe it's just what I'm hungry for that day when I'm making the flyer, but I hear you. Also, Joe here has asked, Jason, this might be a great question for you. He was curious how the current renovations were financed, and you may want to talk about our loan that the board approved.
Particularly, this project was half a loan approved by the board of directors last spring from Leaf. They are a financial arm who supports cooperative grocers. So we were able to get a nice rate and support a business that supports co-ops. And we were also able to use some of our cash reserves. And we have for the next part of the loan, once we are able to finalize the cost of the refrigeration rack and its installation, we'll be reaching out for equipment finance loan that was also approved by the board last spring.
Thanks, Jason.